Hi there, guys. This is Not Quite Mint. I'm Rich, and today I'm going to be answering that question, in my opinion, whether or not 1917 is a good film. So make sure you check out, obviously, the review and see how we score it at the end. Before then, though, if you want to see more content like this, on our channel, such as movie reviews, we do comic book reviews and other bits and bobs of pop culture that we're going to have coming out in the future. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below, and also if you enjoyed obviously the movie review, give us your thumbs up, and if you've been lucky enough to go and see it already, comment down below what you thought about it, and also if you do intend to go and see it, if you've got any questions that I don't address in the review, again, ask them in the comments down below. Thanks, guys.
This is the future.
Right then, guys, 1917. Went and saw it on Friday night, so it was the second day after it came out. It's one of those things where there's so much hype around the films, and it was a very, very critically well acclaimed film. You could see all the reviews, 5-star reviews all over the shop, it's so it puts the pressure when you go and see it as just a casual watcher, because you kind of like you almost feel a little bit shoehorned into, this is going to be amazing. Is it going to live up to expectations and everything? Is it a good film? First of all, obviously, if you haven't seen the trailers, I'll probably put up a little bit of a screen capture somewhere so that you can just get a rough idea. But obviously, do go and check out the trailer if you haven't yet seen it, or if you're using this review to go and obviously see it. But basically, what it's about is two young soldiers basically get given the task that they have got to go and deliver a message to the front lines, basically to another battalion who were waiting to launch an assault the following day against the German front line, and it's about their story, basically their journey. And obviously what happens in that. It is a war film, so it is full of gore and just absolutely unbelievably sad and shocking depictions of what it must have been like. I mean, I can't even imagine. It's one of those films that I would feel that you go and watch and you come away and you feel like kind of humbled for what the sacrifices that individuals made in the war, and we can't underlie that. I mean, obviously war is a obviously a hot topic at the moment with everything that's happening, and I think it's one of those, you go and watch that film and it sort of, as always, just raises lots of questions, and it does that amazingly well. And the story around these two lads is really quite that political thing, but like that sort of like that band of brothers, you're in it together, you're gonna get on with it, you've got a mission to do, and you're gonna go through whatever is thrown at you to get it, and the stuff that they have to put themselves through and witness is just unbelievable. So it's one of those films, that's what it's about. When I watched it, oh my god, it's like one of the most exhilarating films I think that I've watched in a long, long time. I mean, me and my wife obviously went and viewed it, and we were literally eyes on the screen all the way through. I was quite surprised, actually, because like my wife can be quite squeamish with certain things, but she was gripped. Like, she was gripping my hand tighter than I think I've ever held had my hand held before as well. But I've got a few broken bones maybe, but it was one of those films. I mean, my nerves were shredded as well. It was literally just like non-stop. There were a couple of like little nice bits of reprieve in there, some really like nice touches just to sort of like break up those main sort of like action scenes, but yeah, it made me, it was exhilarating, it was heartbreaking, it was a fantastic film. So if you ask, I suppose I've answered the question, is it any good? Yes, it is. You can probably tell it was really, really enjoyable, and me and my wife, when on the drive home, we didn't shut up talking about it all the way back. Cinematography, you probably, if you know anything about the film, you'll have seen quite a lot about it. It's basically filmed, and the way that it's presented is as if you literally start your journey with these two lads and they go off, and the camera just stays following them all the way through that whole like singular shot of them on this absolutely epic sort of and tragic journey. And yeah, it's unbelievable how they do that. I think there's some quite clever little bits where obviously, you know, they've obviously had separate sets that they've had to separate. So they've used like where the screen drops to black and where it's say like, you know, like a tree is moved in front of the screen and something. They've used that obviously to cut the different elements up, but it's very, very seamless. And unless you're looking for it, and I've got to be honest, I was a little bit, you wouldn't necessarily notice those transitions like if you didn't know, which I think was fantastic from that point of view. And the direction is amazing. It's literally just like mind-blowing how beautiful it captures what must have been just such a terrible thing, do you know what I mean? And in this, like, you know, very visceral, in your face kind of way, you know, and everything's just amazing. Did I have any criticism for the film? I can't really criticise it. It's obviously the German army in this film are definitely depicted as the bad guys. It's not one of these war films that sort of like, you know, plays up that, you know, both sides are just fighting for. There were elements of it because you saw like German soldiers, you know, that they had obviously pictures of their wives and the kids, so you do get that kind of sort of thing. But there's none of those like. It's very much like that, you know, these lads have got to serve against the might of like the German sort of soldiers. So the Germans are definitely like the bad guys in this. So that was kind of interesting because like a lot of films I've seen, like they try to like put that thing that, yeah, you know, these sides are opposed, but you know, there's reasons on both sides, if that makes any sense to you. But yeah, so yeah, it definitely portrays. And there's a certain scene in the middle of the film where there's an element of compassion shown by obviously our British heroes that ends up just being absolutely like the most heartbreaking thing in the world, but not going to give anything away with that. So obviously the story itself as well, as you would expect, and probably is why we see it the way that it's obviously played out, is that it was Sam Mendes, his director. His grandfather obviously told these stories about the war, and Sam had obviously adapted this into and wrote it into the screenplay and whatever. So you can see, and it is very much from the soldiers' eyes, as I've said. You're following them in this single shot on this journey, and all the rest of it. It's just really, really good. I think that's pretty much it, really. I definitely go and see it. It's one of those films that I think if you didn't go and see it, you'd be so disappointed that you hadn't seen it. So 100% go and see it. It's definitely like way better than say like Saving Private Ryan. We went and saw Dunkirk a couple of years ago, which I enjoyed it. It was a good film, well made, and all the rest of it. Christopher Nolan, whatever. This is like absolutely knocks it out of the park. So definitely from that point of view, for me, this is a definite 9 out of 10. I don't know why I'm not giving it 10 out of 10, but it's pretty. It's like pushing my but you know, I'd have to have absolutely no kind of, you know, it does tick all the boxes for a war film. So for me, it's going to be like a 9 out of 10 in that respect. So that's my review, guys. Hopefully that's encouraged you to go out and see that film. Definitely do that. As I mentioned, if you do want to see more film reviews, and obviously check out our comic book reviews if that's sort of like your thing, obviously give us a thumbs up, and obviously hit that subscribe button. We will see you in a couple of days for our new key comic book sort of reveal, and then on Thursday we will give you the reviews of the films, the movies that the comic books. I will get there in the end. The comic books that we have read in the week, and then next week I'm not sure what film it's going to be, but I'll review another film for you. Depends on what I go and see. All right, guys.